week's episode of What's Up Internet and Happy Friday features air conditioning. If you hear a soft hum in the background, that is the sound of me not dying of heat stroke. Happy Hell Week, everybody! So, in honor of Summer Serenade Tech Week, I decided to make Tales of Hell Week 2. I had stories sent in to me from friends that I know in real life, but I also had a lot of stories sent in to me via my Tumblr blog, Theater Commandments. And without any further ado, let go! So this first story is from my friend Brian, and I actually was present when this was happening. So this is kind of like an eyewitness account, a first-hand narrative. Anyway, I'm actually convinced that whoever wrote the book for the stage version of The Sound of Music really did not like kids, because the costume changes in that show for the Von Trapp children were absolutely insane. And there was this one quick change towards the end of the show that was borderline impossible. We basically had no time to change out of our wedding costumes into our costumes for the final concert scene. Like, we would legit start stripping the second we cleared the curtain line. And the thing is, the concert costumes were actually really complex. Like, for me and the other girls, we had to throw on this traditional Austrian dress, which is really super tight from about here up. We would end up double dressed for the most part because we wouldn't have enough time to take everything else off. But the boys had to do a complete change, and the hardest thing for them to get on during that quick change were the lederhosen, also known as leather pants. And through doing it over and over during Hell Week, we finally nailed that change, that quick change. But to this day, and it has now been 3 years, if you utter the words leather pants to Brian, he will cringe. When me and my cast had our dress rehearsal for our show Rough Magic, half of our cast was late, music cues were off, something went wrong with the signal flare, and our main antagonist came in halfway through practicing the second act because he was in the process of almost seriously being arrested due to a shitty misunderstanding. I brought in an electric ukulele and the sound techs worshipped the ground I walked on. During Hell Week for a double cast production of the Scottish play, one actor who played He Who Shall Not Be Named, as well as Macduff, was still having a lot of trouble learning lines, and he was barely memorized by Wednesday. So the director cut him as Macduff and had the other Macduff, who also played Banquo, play Macduff all the time and therefore no longer be Banquo. Instead of having Banquo/Duncan be Banquo all of the performances, as Duncan/Macbeth would lose his role, an assistant was cast as Banquo on Wednesday of Hell Week. Well, that is a clusterfuck if ever I did see one. This year my school did Shrek the Musical and I played Fiona. It was my senior year and I wanted everything to be perfect. 4 days before we opened, the kid playing Shrek was expelled and he didn't have an understudy. I had 4 days to completely teach the role of Shrek, blocking, songs, lines, etc. to a new person. Probably the most stressful thing I have ever gone through. Aw, can I like hug you? I'm gonna give you an internet hug. Come here, bring it down. Can you feel the love tonight? During Spamalot, I had to foot the ladder for Tim the Enchanter. I basically became a part of the joke because as he would leave, he would tell me to bring the ladder, and I would have to run on stage carrying a 7-foot ladder and a massive foam cloud. This wasn't a real problem until I was putting the ladder back in its place and a 30-pound cast iron boom light base fell on my foot and nearly broke it. I kicked off my shoes, finished the show, and made sure to move the thing the day after. One of the actors didn't believe us about the Scottish play and the M word, so she said it out loud. During rehearsal, lightning struck the building. This happened during final dress of Fiddler on the Roof. We walked in to start warming up, and we realized that all of the spike tape had been pulled up. We had to go cue to cue and respike the whole show, and Fiddler is a very prop-heavy show with lots of benches and tables and chairs, so that took us a good half hour. It was strange and infuriating. We still don't know who or what did it. Maybe the theater ghost. One time our lead passed out mid-scene, but it was in character and everyone kept the scene going around him. It was only when it was time for him to sing that we realized he may need medical attention. This one Hell Week, we were doing Seussical, and my director said that if we got enough feathers to make an outfit, she would wear it on stage. We were making the outfit in our dressing room, and I walk in to see my friend crying while gluing feathers to a hat. I'm currently in Tech Week for Les Mis, and tonight the actress playing Cosette was having difficulty with timing her first lyrics in the epilogue. Around the 5th or 6th time she had to restart, Fontaine, standing on the bridge above the entire cast, loudly yells down, "I knew there was a reason I gave you up!" During Hell Week for my school's production of Alice in Wonderland, where I was the assistant stage manager, we had a scene where Alice was supposed to throw a baby off stage. From her position, it couldn't be thrown backstage, so we had to come up with a way to get it thrown safely into the house. We ended up having me run from backstage through the lobby and then quietly sneaking into the house. I'd catch the baby and then rush to get backstage again for the next scene change. This all happened in about 2 minutes. Tech for noises off, plus work week for a high school theater festival that my college hosts, plus rehearsal for another main stage show, plus having strep throat and a sinus infection, equals the ultimate Hell Week. When I was doing The Wizard of Oz at my high school last fall, a bunch of people kept saying the M word. Some because they didn't know, some because they were just being douchey about it. And a lot of stuff kept going wrong. Examples including Dorothy losing her voice, Glinda feeling sick, the lion fainting because of the heavy costume and heat, delayed choreography learning, and 7-hour rehearsals. Okay, in case you haven't figured it out up by now? This is why we don't say that word! I had accidentally stayed up all night before Hell Week started because I forgot it started that day, and by the time rehearsal started, I had already been awake 19 hours, and I was Mrs. Galahad and Spamalot, and so I had to run backstage a lot and help out, and by the time I got home and got to bed, I was hallucinating. It was great. 'Twas the week before opening of Hamlet, and our tech crew of 15 went down to merely 6. One of our assistant stage managers had to replace Rosencrantz after Ophelia dropped out and the roles were switched. Another student stepped in to help, and I was acting and ended up teching as well. Then, hours before opening night, one of the techs decided to start yelling at the stage manager, insulting her in front of the director. Plus, the lights in the theater began flickering on and off. And that concludes the stories. Thank you so much to everybody who submitted stories for this video. I really appreciate it. A very happy Hell Week to all the theater kids that are out there, and I'll see y'all next Friday.